Story 1. Lara had always been fascinated by old objects. Thrift stores were her refuge, places where she could find unique pieces full of history. That day, while walking through a dark alley, she spotted a small, dusty shop she had never seen before. The sign on the door read, "Relics of the Past." Inside, the air was heavy, and the shelves were filled with antique objects, stopped clocks, cracked porcelain dolls, and foggy mirrors. That's when she saw it. A large mirror with a dark wooden frame and intricate carvings. The shopkeeper, an elderly man with piercing eyes, said, "This mirror is special. It reflects more than just appearances." Lara ignored the ominous tone and bought the mirror. Little did she know she was bringing home something far more sinister. The mirror was hung in Lara's bedroom. For the first few days, everything seemed normal. But one night, she woke up to a soft noise, like someone whispering. When she looked at the mirror, her reflection was there, but something was wrong. It didn't mimic her perfectly. While Lara stood still, the reflection tilted its head slightly, as if studying her. She tried to convince herself it was just her imagination, but the signs continued. Sometimes the reflection smiled when she was serious. Other times it seemed to stare at her, even when she turned away. A week later, Lara began hearing voices. They were soft whispers, almost inaudible, coming from the mirror. She covered the glass with a sheet, but the whispers continued, growing louder and more urgent. One night, she heard a clear voice, "Let me out." Terrified, Lara decided to research the mirror's origin. She discovered that it had once belonged to a woman named Clara, who had mysteriously disappeared 50 years ago. Clara was known for practicing strange rituals and, according to rumors, had become involved with forces she could not control. One night, Lara couldn't take it anymore. She tore the sheet off the mirror and stared at her reflection. "What do you want?" she asked, trembling. The reflection stopped mimicking her. Slowly, it smiled in a way Lara never had and said in a distorted voice, "Finally, I'm free." Before Lara could react, a skeletal hand reached out from the mirror and grabbed her arm. She screamed, struggling to break free, but was pulled into the glass. The room fell silent. On the other side of the mirror, Lara found herself in a dark, distorted world. Everything seemed reversed, like a twisted reflection of reality. She saw other figures wandering, people who had been trapped there before her. Among them was Clara, the mirror's former owner. Clara explained that the mirror was a gateway to a realm of shadows, ruled by a malevolent entity that fed on souls. The only way to escape was to find the center of the mirror and break the bond that kept the entity imprisoned. As Lara and Clara tried to find the center of the mirror, the entity began to chase them. It was a tall, shadowy figure with glowing eyes and a grin full of razor-sharp teeth. It whispered words that made Lara doubt her own sanity. "You will never escape. You are mine now." Lara and Clara ran through endless corridors, passing by distorted reflections of memories and nightmares. Finally, they found the center, a large, shattered mirror surrounded by a faint light. Clara explained that only one of them could escape. The other would have to stay behind and keep the entity occupied. Lara hesitated, but Clara insisted, "I've been here for too long. You still have a chance." Lara smashed the central mirror with a stone, and a blinding light filled the room. She felt herself being pulled back into the real world. Lara woke up in her room, back in the real world. The mirror lay shattered in pieces on the floor. She sighed in relief, thinking it was all over. But as she looked at the fragments of glass, she saw something that made her freeze. In each piece, her reflection was still there, smiling at her. And then she heard the voice again, coming from every corner of the room. "Did you think you could escape me?" Lara realized that the entity had returned with her. Now she was trapped in an endless cycle, trying to warn others about the mirror, but no one believed her. Every night the entity haunted her, whispering in her ears and appearing in every reflection around her. She tried to destroy the mirror fragments, but they always reappeared, as if they were alive. Finally, Lara understood. The mirror would never let her go. It had already chosen its next victim. Days later, the fragments of the mirror were found in a thrift store. A young couple bought them, thinking they could fix them. As they carried the pieces home, Lara watched from a distance, knowing the cycle was about to begin again. She whispered, almost imperceptibly, "Be careful what you reflect." Story 2. When Sophia's grandmother passed away, she inherited an old country house. Among the belongings was a large ornate mirror with a worn silver frame. Her grandmother always said the mirror was special, but never explained why. Sophia decided to take it to her apartment in the city. As she hung it in the living room, she noticed something strange. The mirror seemed to reflect the room slightly differently. Objects appeared in the wrong positions, as if the reflection showed a parallel world. On the first night, Sophia woke up to a noise coming from the living room. When she went to investigate, she saw the mirror reflecting the empty room. But for a brief moment, a shadowy figure appeared behind her in the reflection. When she turned around, no one was there. The next day, she started noticing small differences in the reflection. A clock showing the wrong time, a chair appearing in a different place. And every time she looked at the mirror, she felt like she was being watched. Intrigued, Sophia decided to research the mirror's origin. She discovered that it had once belonged to a woman named Isabella, who lived in the 19th century. Isabella was known for her beauty, but also for her obsession with staying young. Rumors claimed that she had made a pact with a dark entity, using the mirror as a portal to maintain her youth. However, something went wrong, and Isabella mysteriously disappeared. The mirror had been passed down through generations, and each owner reported strange events, reflections that moved on their own, whispering voices, and, in some cases, unexplained disappearances. One night, Sophia looked into the mirror and saw her reflection moving on its own. It smiled at her and said, "You know what I want." She tried to cover the mirror, but the sheets kept falling off on their own, and the whispers grew louder. The reflection began appearing in other mirrors around the house, always closer, always more real. Desperate, Sophia discovered a diary hidden behind the mirror. It belonged to Isabella, and inside, she found a ritual to free the entity trapped within the mirror. The problem was that the ritual required a sacrifice. Someone had to take the entity's place in the world of reflections. Sophia realized that the entity wanted to use her body to escape. She tried to shatter the mirror, but it wouldn't crack, as if it were indestructible. One night, Sophia's reflection stepped out of the mirror and grabbed her. She fought back, but the entity was too strong. In the last moment, Sophia remembered a phrase from the diary. "The mirror only has power if you look at it." She closed her eyes and stopped struggling. The entity screamed in frustration and was pulled back into the mirror. Sophia smashed the glass with a hammer, and this time, it shattered into pieces. Sophia thought she was free, but in the days that followed, she began to notice something strange. Her reflection no longer appeared in any mirror. Whenever she looked into glass, it was always empty, and sometimes she could hear laughter coming from where the mirror used to be. She realized that the entity had gotten what it wanted. Now, Sophia was trapped in the world of reflections, and the entity had taken her place in the real world. The mirror was found at an antique market. A man bought it, drawn to its beauty. As he took it home, Sophia watched from the other side, knowing the cycle was about to begin again. But this time, something was different. The entity was no longer trapped in the mirror. It had completely escaped, using Sophia's body as a host. Now, Sophia was nothing more than a shadow in the world of reflections, while the entity lived her life in the real world. The man hung the mirror in his home. On the first night, he looked into it and saw his reflection smiling in a strange way. Before he could react, the reflection reached out and pulled him inside. On the other side, Sophia watched helplessly. She realized that the entity no longer needed the mirror to act. It was just a tool, a trap to lure new victims. The entity was now free, and no one was safe. As the man screamed, trying to escape the world of reflections, Sophia whispered, almost imperceptibly, "Be careful what you reflect, because she is everywhere now." If you enjoyed this horror story, like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more chilling tales like this one.